All right, guys, it is time for an update video on the 55 Belair 2 hardtop. If you've been following along, I'm trying to get ready, or haven't been following along, I should say. I'm trying to get my 55 ready for a car show, an indoor show, all weekend show in February of 2021. Basically, I have 59 days left to get the car done, and the frame's over here, the body's outside on a cart. I got a lot of work done, but I got a lot more to go. I looked at my weather forecast day before yesterday, and Monday and Tuesday is low 60s on temperatures, 2 days back to back, zero chance of rain. So I have decided I'm going to make those both days paint day. So I've got a ton of parts I have to paint. So I have been busy making fixtures and sanding parts. I'll be sanding all day today and all day tomorrow to get all these parts ready to sand, or ready to paint. So I've got to build a paint booth in here. I've got some sheet plastic. I'm going to staple it to the ceiling, which is what I usually do when I paint a car in here. But this time I'm only going to do this one bay here. And that way I can get the parts in and out pretty easy, and it's pretty well self-contained at that point. Anyway, I made a couple of fixtures I'm pretty proud of. They're as redneck gets, but they will work perfectly. I give stupid names to both of them. As you can see, Redneck 2000, Impaler 3000. This is actually steel bar that I've sharpened to a point. It's a 2.5 inch spread, and that's for my core support. And I'm actually going to save that one because I'll be able to paint the core support for my wife's 55 as well later when I get to it. But anyway, a core support for a Tri-5 Chevy has 2 mounting holes on the bottom, and they're square cut holes for carriage bolts. So I sharpen them to a point. That way they'll go down on there like that, and I'll be able to paint all up underneath of this everywhere without a problem. This is pretty stable, so I got no issues with that. So anyway, I got that done. I only spent about 15 minutes on the stupid thing, but I usually hang those by wire up, hang them up under my carport or in here, hang them by wire, and they're pretty much stuck there until they dry so you can take them down. But this time, with me painting all these little parts, and I've got a lot of different colors I'm going to be painting, so I have to be able to move the parts after I get them painted and they set for a little while to be able to move them out of the way. This one is an old bed cover display, and I have several of these behind my house. I usually paint hoods on them, trunk lids, stuff like that. Anyway, I bought some strap at Lowe's, and I bolted it to it, and I drilled the holes in it for my door hinge bolts, and my doors will actually go on each end. They'll bolt on just like you're bolting them to the hinges. So I will be able to paint both sides of the doors at the same time. And the thing I didn't think about was when I hung the doors, and when I hang one door, if I'm by myself, it's going to tilt up. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to go back to Lowe's, get another piece of strap, I'm going to cut it in half, 45 the ends, and I'm going to bolt 2 angle pieces off the side. That way it'll kind of help stabilize it when I bolt one door on. Otherwise it'd take 2 people to bolt, hold one door while I get the other one hung on there and bolted down. But anyway, I'm going to keep this one also for the 4-door restoration future project to hang the front doors on. But anyway, I've been busy getting all this other stuff ready. I thought I was done with my primer work. I ended up having 2 more parts that I forgot about. I had to get some putty work done on, and then I got to primer those. The rear axle, if you've been following along, I reworked it. It is in final prime. It's right there. It's out of the shot, so you can't see it. It is ready to be sanded and painted, but like Monday is going to be urethane single stage gloss black paint. I'm going to do lots of body panels, the rear end, the air cleaner, cowl panel, just lots of pieces. And then I'm going to use Tuesday to do all the other oddball colors. I've got a matte black to do, satin black, flat black, and 2 shades of gray. So there'll be lots of little colors going on the second day, just trying to finalize all them pieces. I want to give a tip here. I don't really like to do how-to videos because I just pretty much say it's the way I do it. I don't care how anybody else does it. But this might actually help somebody that does not know. If you're going to restore a Tri-5 Chevy, or you're in the middle of it, and you're going to use your factory steering column, which these can kill you actually. Your steering column and your steering shaft is pretty much one unit. So if you have a front end collision at high speed, your steering wheel will pretty much go into your chest because this doesn't give. Most of the aftermarket steering columns are collapsible, like an aftermarket tilt or something. So when you get in front end damage, they collapse, so the steering wheel will pretty much stay in the spot it's supposed to be. I'm not changing all that. I'm just going to take a chance, I guess. Anyway, I'm running my factory steering column. If you are too, this is something you need to know. This is a pretty good little tip. So this bolts to your firewall, and your column goes from inside the car out of the firewall into this bracket. These are basically just a clamp. So it'll take a long bolt through there with a nut on the other side, and it basically, when you tighten it down, it clamps over the column tube to hold it in place. So when you're doing your restoration work, you're going to do some paint work, do not forget to stretch this out, because when you go to put your freshly painted column in there, if that's not stretched out, it will rip the paint completely off of it. And a lot of this is visible outside the firewall. I don't remember how much of it, but there's a little bit of it that is visible. So in my case, the paint has to stay nice, and I don't want to have to do it twice. So what I have done in the past to a couple of them, I could not do to this one because I loaned my tool out and I never got it back. I have two of these, well, let me rephrase it. I had two of these. These are tailpipe expanders. You can rent these at a parts store, I think. I do believe these are available for rent. Now, I had a big one and I had a small one. The small one I loaned out and I never got it back. Anyway, what this does, basically, if you're doing an exhaust system at home, you can put this in your muffler and tighten this down, and it'll expand the pipe so you can slip your other pipe inside of it, or vice versa, or whatever. But I usually use the smaller one inside that clamp and tighten it down, and it will open it up evenly. Because usually when you stretch these out yourself, like in a bench vise or using some pliers or whatever, it usually bends right here at this point right here. And anyway, so I had to manually do mine in the bench vise, and I ended up having to take a sanding drum on a drill and go in here and sand this down pretty good to get enough clearance. Because you got to keep in mind, when you paint all this stuff, you're going to have to account for paint mill, thickness of your paint after you get it on there. So I've got mine stretched out good enough. I think it'll be okay. It's going to be really, really cautious to put that through there without scratching it, but I should be able to get it done. Now, here's something that I've never tried before. I just happened to see this a couple of weeks ago. I bought some lunch meat. It was like some smoked ham or something that my local grocery store actually cuts themselves, and they package them as their own brand. In that Ziploc style package, there was a sheet of thin rectangle shaped plastic. I'd never seen that before, but I ended up washing this and keeping it. So I cut the end off of it, and I'm actually going to place it inside there when I go to assemble it, and put the column in there, and that'll aid in keeping it from scratching some of it. Anyway, so just a tip there. Do not forget to stretch this out if you're running your factory steering column and stuff. But tailpipe expander works awesome for that. I've done it to a couple in the past. It works great. But if you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. You can do it the old school way and just do it in a vise or whatever. But lots of ways to do it. Lots of people are different the way they do it. I don't care how anybody else does it. It's just the way I do it. But anyway, I've been busy sanding parts and building fixtures. I have a lot of stuff ready, but I still have a lot of stuff that is not ready. Like air cleaner is getting ready to get sanded. I got to go around all these beads and get everything all dialed in. This is pretty lumpy from the last couple of coats of high build 2K I put on it. So I got to go in there and get this all sanded down and ready. I spent an hour on my cowl panel yesterday sanding this stupid thing. This sucked with all them louvers in there. I used a paint stick and went down in there and sanded it all, but the problem is in each corner it kind of curves in just a little bit. So I had took a piece of sandpaper and folded it into a little skinny rectangle square a few times, used it by hand, and went down and did each one of those to get all that leveled out. So that sucked. I have a lot of work in this cow panel, and it's going to be one of them deals that a lot of people are not going to catch, because this is a piece of the hood right here. And I also built pieces here because from the factory they're just cut out like a half moon or a spade. So there's lots of work just in the cow panel. Anyway, I got tons of work to do. This and another part I still have to do primer again because I forgot about these. This was my first coat of primer, and then I have pinholes and crap and some couple of heavy scratches that I had to putty up. But this is the factory deluxe heater box. This is 1/2 of it. This is actually quite visible. It goes onto the firewall, but it's underneath the dash. You can see quite a bit of this hanging down. So I wanted this very, very slick, and this area right here was pretty dinged up. So I ended up wiping that whole face with body filler and then went back and blocked it. Also, this area right here has some pretty good wrinkles in it from the stamping process, and I did a little metal work, hammer and dolly work here, and filled all that. And also, if you see that, that is a quarter panel crest that would be on the quarter panel beside your Belair script. This is a used original. I panel bonded that on there. It actually still has both studs on the back, and I do have the clips on it as well, but I did use panel bond, and it is molded in there. So this, when this is painted, this will look like it was stamped into the metal because it is quite visible, and I thought that would be a nice feature to have. This is going to go back a gray color. I've got an accent color called Galaxy Gray. It's a base coat, clear coat that I'll be putting on it. Also, this is my cup holder system, and this is a Kleenex dispenser. This was an option for $55, and it was for Kleenex tissue. And it's supposed to have an oval slot here, and then the back is open. This bolts underneath your dash in the middle, and it has a chrome face on it that I have put up. But it has an embossed bow tie on it and some beads rolled in it. It's a really nice looking piece. But anyway, this mounts under your dash and it would turn out and you could pull a Kleenex out of it. I don't need Kleenex. I need cup holders, so you kind of get the idea there. I plated the slot in and then I plated in the back and body worked it and everything, and this will be my cup holder system. I just bought some universal cup holders from eBay, and they are shallow. They don't hang down past this. Most cup holders you'll find are really deep, so when this is on the dash, you'd see the cup holders hanging out from the bottom. I got shallow ones. They fit a 12-ounce can very, very well. This is going to be gray as well. The other thing you have to do if you're planning on doing this to your car is your bracket system. I had to build my own bracket and weld it to the bottom of the dash. You could build one and bolt it in there if you wanted to. But when you put this in there, the way it's designed, when it comes out, it goes at an angle upward. So you don't want that for cup holders. So I built my whole new bracket system and it comes out straight. But when it's back up under the dash, it looks factory. Just another one of those optional parts that I modified so the car looks like it has a lot of options. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. I've got a ton of parts there. I've got more parts in the house I got to sand, and I've got to do the doors, the fenders, the trunk. Everything is in final primer. I just need to sand it, and I've got plenty of sandpaper to get this stuff done. But anyway, Monday, Tuesday is paint day. So I do have some buddies that occasionally drop by and they watch my videos. Please don't stop by. I am going to be busy. I don't have time to talk. And, you know, it's hard to get stuff done when people want to talk and ask questions and second guess what you're doing. I don't have time for that. Not trying to sound like a dick. I am busy. I'm under a deadline here, and it's hard to do when people are bugging me. So anyway, I'm going to get on it.